right, welcome back, heroes out there. Thanks for holding out on us because round two is right here, right now, and it's looking to be pretty thrilling. Kyle, tell the people at home what we're going to be looking at going into this next round.
We're going to be facing Todoroki 2 underwater and Shigaraki 3 under order. I'm super excited for this lineup. I think masterminding is such a cool card, and I'm very excited to see this Shigaraki take advantage of masterminding.
Yeah, Shigaraki 3 has been a name popping up a whole lot lately. And it's definitely on the back of Masterminding. Already a pretty formidable character in his own right, but that action card from the class reunion box has definitely brought him up a few tiers, honestly. It's given him some legs. For a man who's got so many hands, this card has given him some pretty serious legs in this very, very aggressive format. When you're speaking about aggro, it's really, really hard to leave Todoroki 2 out of the conversation. This is a character that I haven't seen in a hot minute, to be honest with you. Definitely one of the kind of like bread and butter characters that just kind of has fallen a bit on the wayside. And I think it's really more his symbols than anything. His symbols all have just had a little bit more to do lately. But I still think he's definitely a strong contender if you're just looking to put some really solid, honest aggro on the board.
Agreed. Shoto is just like a very generically good character. Obviously, a lot of people were super hype on him when he originally came out in set 2. Didn't quite have the showing initially for set 2 that everyone was expecting. But even without that showing that everyone was expecting, he still put up a decent amount of results. And he's like you said, he's just a generically good, honest aggro character. And it's very cool to see someone playing a more tame aggro character like this.
Yeah, he's very solid. He's very stable and he's very consistent. You know, I almost look at him in some ways kind of like the All Might 3 of his symbols on the ranged package, which is like, you know, there's a lot of specifications there, right? Which is kind of another reason you don't see him as much because those packages aren't nearly as flexible. On the water symbol, it's a very flexible package, but there are kind of a lot of characters that do his game plan, you know, not in the exact same way, but they do like specifically the aggressive portions of it a little bit more consistently and a little bit more aggressive, you know, unless you're looking to just really take advantage of that opening stun too. A big reason why I think he's not seen a lot of play is the stun hate in the format has been really good for a while now. Like the big thing about that stun too is it's so strong early on at really forcing damage through. And for the longest time now, we've just been looking at earth decks nonstop with a hefty amount of good and all decks as well, which means there's been a lot of it can't be fixed running around lately to slow him down.
Yeah, that is unfortunate for Shoto. Very meta dependent because he's so reliant on that stun too, and that is unfortunately the fatal flaw of that character. But I think in this format with a little less Earth characters running around, he'll see a little more success.
Yeah, most certainly. I mean, it's even with that in play, like it's still hard to go wrong in a lot of ways for this guy, especially on the water symbol, right? It feels like you can play anyone doing anything on the water symbol and at least have a fighting chance for sure.
Absolutely, the water symbol carries any character. I truly think the water symbol is the one symbol in this game, if any, that the cards in the symbol alone can carry any pile of trash.
Right, like it's it's found, you know, it's definitely not been like the most format warping symbol for quite a while now. We've certainly seen water fall out of favor, which is just, you know, just a meta shifting thing for the most part. This symbol didn't necessarily get any worse lately. I think it's just more of a matter of like, you know, what characters you find yourself on and how you proceed to go from there. But, you know, especially like when your guy wants you to play the ranged attacks, like you just slap that same, basically what you said, right? You slap that same like 20 ranged attack, 62 card deck onto any water character that wants you to play a ranged attack, and like you're just good. You're just set.
Yeah, the actual cards in water are just so powerful, and that's also kind of why water specifically is so susceptible to stun. Like heavy stun will hurt water more than most other symbols.
Yeah, it's very reliant on your stage for those defensive plays. And Shoto gets to put that level of pain on the opposite side, right?
Hmm.
So this is really, really, really cool here. We're gonna see Shoto slam down this Frozen Slash, and this is where we really see Shoto 2 shine, even in the water pile of range cards, because not only is Frozen Slash an absolutely amazing card for this guy to be playing right here, putting
Yep.
+2/+2 on it, giving our next one +2/+2, all of the good stuff. But the real banger here is that we got to, as our first enhance, slam down Shoto's own. We each add a momentum to hand and immediately reset our Shigaraki 3 rivals Electric Jolt. We saw Shigaraki 3 have literally the most textbook turn ever: poke with Jolt, build expensive foundations, pass. Now we have a Jolt for defense, and our once per game is ready. All of the Jolt involved things there, no longer a factor in this game.
Yep. Super strong. Super strong. They're going to have to set up multiple jolts to be able to take advantage of one, right? And that's just the power of this character. They've got a lot of small, interesting plays that they can make, and I think a very smart player can really take advantage of this character and game people with it.
100%. So it looks like we told our rival to check with our league invitation. It failed, right? Because who wants to pay for a 7? And then in response, we've got our masterminding set up. So things are a little bit better for us now, right? We don't have our defensive Jolt. However, we do have our mastermind minus check online now, and our once per game is online and waiting if we really feel threatened next turn.
Well, the once per game actually is not online, if I'm not mistaken, because you can't pay the cost with
So
the
masterminding
right?
can't be discarded to pay costs, but it can be removed, which is what Shigaraki 3 does. I was guilty of the same thought process over the weekend in Kansas City. I was proved very, very wrong by
Okay.
the Shigaraki 3 players. I definitely thought that those words were there to make sure you could not once per game with mastermind, but it's in fact the
Okay.
exact opposite. Those words are there so that you can only once per game with mastermind.
Okay. All right. Cool. Did not know that. All right.
Yeah, I would definitely commit that to memory, because I would not be surprised to see a lot of Shigaraki 3s showing up this weekend on the Webcam RLE.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So this is really cool. We see the Ice Slide tackle block coming in. Now, this is a card that we saw a lot in the UK RLE. We saw Brett Pendragon rocking this card in their Chaos decks all over the place to help deal with things like Zero Gravity Lift. But it's going to come really in handy here nonetheless, just as a mid and a high block both in one. High has arguably been the scariest zone ever since day one of MHA format. It is honestly, it's honestly surprising to me that we haven't seen this card get a little more traction.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree. High has been very pushed.
Oh, and unfortunately, it doesn't look like we have the second attack here to follow up with our Frozen Slash. That's very, very unfortunate. Not being able to take advantage of that +2/+2 on our next one feels really rough, especially when we didn't get our initial damage through anyway and didn't sneak our momentum in to start looping around with Shoto.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate for this Shoto player.
I will
But I
say
mean,
that we want to see these guys do an interesting dance, because if Shigaraki can't take more momentum this turn, we might see our mastermindings get reset a lot. But then do you really want to give them the mastermind back unless you just don't plan on failing to check just for them to put it back? That's so interesting. This is going to be a fun tango.
oh yeah, absolutely. The dance between these characters is very unique, I think.
Yeah, there's just a lot of super duper cute little interactions going on here. Oh wow, okay, this is
All right.
interesting. This is definitely
Opening
not,
a full cowling. All right. I like it.
yeah. So look, sometimes you just gotta slam the full cowling down, man. Holy cow.
Let's go. I'd have to imagine that this Shigaraki player, they are going to probably trigger, if they can, trigger their face on the full cowling, and the masterminding, and really punish the opponent for blocking this.
Yeah, I think this is probably just the only attack we have, and we're just trying to force some damage through to get a little bit of ahead in the game state. And we just know that we get to. Oh, okay. So we've used Think Fast to commit itself to make it a low.
Interesting.
That is very interesting.
Yeah.
So the surviving the finals are coming in for the -1 speeds here. So he says, hey, even though you changed it, I do still plan on blocking.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be, I mean, so despite the fact that we do have the mastermind in here, stealing a momentum here is still really important. Ooh, but we've checked a 2.
Mm-hmm.
And we've minus, no. So it looks like he's not responding Shigaraki on it.
Interesting. Okay.
Yep, not responding Shigaraki on it. It just has the -1 from the masterminding. I mean, we know that the -1 wouldn't really change, it stopping or not. So maybe, if we have no other attacks, we're just going to build because it's irrelevant. Or if we do have more attacks, we're saving it for maybe forcing a scarier one through. Although I think the math checks out either way for that.
Oh, here we go. Another jolt.
Okay. So we are, I mean, makes sense, right? We knew that jolt was sitting in there.
Unfortunate that Shoto had to block with that tongue whip, though. I'm sure they would have much rather preferred that bad boy be in their hand.
That is the other big buff of swinging low on these decks. Is you're like, please give me the tongue whip, please. I want it out of your hand. Let's all be nice here.
That's why I actively try to include at least one like really mean low attack in every deck that I play. Or if I can do low attack spam, I try to go for it because making the opponent block with the tongue whip is brutal against any deck that plays it.
So I want to note, right, it's also interesting that, we mentioned last turn it's really unfortunate that Shoto didn't have the follow-up attack to take advantage of the +2/+2. We had the tongue whip in hand, opted not to play it. I mean, I guess we had the masterminding check minus lingering, but I mean, if you played it and checked really bad, you could just fail it, right? Because it's a masterminding minus. You can always just fail it. I think I would have hard slammed that tongue whip last turn.
Yeah, I would have gone for it there.
Yeah, stick a second one in the pool. Comes in with a +2/+2. It's effectively like an 8-9 speed. Like, yeah, I think I would have slammed that.
Yeah, that would have been huge early.
Yeah, we are seeing Shoto play really, really well defense here, though. Executing 2 really nice blocks, technically 2 full blocks. The only momentum that we're given is the electric jolt. And then, we've already cleared the mastermind via our Shoto ability. Now we get to also clear the jolt as our first enhance. It's going to feel really, really good. Once again, we're seeing this really interesting tango between these guys with all of these things in our momentum. So Shoto's got a really, really healthy stage. We lost our tongue whip, but if we can find some more aggro here, it's going to be really, really, really profitable. Shigaraki's got a lot of defense on stage. Triple in control is definitely a thing. We certainly do not want to play a grasping tape toss, but if we can find anything else in here to start at least like fighting through these, right? Because like there's a lot of speed manipulation on Shigaraki's board. Double ice gliding though are the only repeatable ones. The rest are going to have a permanent cost to them. So it's kind of a matter of, you got to start fighting through those resources. And this is a fantastic way to start doing that. And that's what opening stun 2.
Man, you know what sucks about the Shoto situation right there?
What's that, Kyle?
Citywide Crisis is gonna make using Shoto against this Shigaraki player really, really annoying.
Yeah, it absolutely will. Yeah.
Yeah, that I saw that card. I was like, wow, this Shoto player has to be crying. They have to be.
Yeah, there's a lot to navigate here. The bad check is also going to feel really, really, really punishing, especially once the electric jolt comes in. Looks like we did not first enhance tell us to go pick up momentum, so we're okay with the jolt staying there.
Yeah,
which I guess it's a matter of we know that they're going to have momentum either way, so we only don't want to give it back to them if we're going to keep them off the once per game.
Yeah.
Because at some point this turn, we'll probably fail a Shigaraki check a 5 check, and then the mastermind will come in anyway. That might be the logic here, like literally right now.
Not letting them.
No, he's paying for it. Holy cow.
This must just be a poke. I wouldn't pay for it unless I was poking.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, okay, so think about it this way. If we pass it, we know the masterminding will go into the momentum, which means that we'll get -1 to our check anyway. So passing it really is only like a 1 committal difference. right? We can commit 2 or we can not, and then have to commit 1 more on the masterminding one, unless we just fail the one that he masterminds. But maybe we don't have attacks to throw out just to fail them right now.
I suppose.
So we got a
All
lot
right.
of Shigaraki's board committed here, almost all of it. But we also saw double ice gliding come in, which means our next one's going to come with -2 speed. So even with
Uh-huh.
1 foundation, could be blockable for Shigaraki still.
Yeah, absolutely. All right.
Yeah, this is interesting. I think that okay, so we are Shigaraki responded on that one, so we'll have to commit 1 foundation if we want it. So this is really interesting because we ended up committing we oh, he says I think I've done Shigaraki already then. Oh, no? Okay, looks like it not. So like this was really interesting, Kyle, right? Because we didn't use our once per turn because I thought that we were expecting to let the masterminding go in anyway, so we know that we can keep Shigaraki off of momentum. But then we ended up
Yep.
committing stuff to pass the masterminding check. So I feel like we should have just let the electric jolt get lifted, especially since it's a high block for our low attack, and then we didn't end up following it with a high attack that it would have been used to block with anyway.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely agree. Yeah, this Shoto probably definitely should have added that jolt to their hand, because now if they're gonna want to, they're gonna have to stuff their pool for this Shigaraki player, and that is not gonna feel great. That's
Yeah,
assuming
I
that they
think
still have that card after they use their form, right?
yeah, if Shigaraki once per games on this one, yep, there it is. If
All
Shigaraki
right.
once per games on this one, I feel like he's gonna be in unshakable control of this game from here on out.
Yeah, it's not gonna feel good.
So
Oh man.
we're gonna
All
hard
right.
slam a decaying palm slam here. I mean, this is like the best one to open with, right? On this
Yep.
like mid game once per game here, where our rebels only got 4 foundations available to them. We're gonna really be able to put on the check pressure and the aggression. However, if Shoto's got any saving grace here, it's that 3 check. It's that 3
Yep.
check right here.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we're doing the palm slam check a 6 right here. We've checked a
Okay.
4. Do you commit 2? Do you commit 2 here?
On the
Ooh,
palm
he's
slam
also
check a 6.
so he just Shigaraki responded. So do you commit 3 here?
Probably
I don't-
not.
Yeah, I don't think you're allowed to, because I think
Yeah.
with these 4 foundations plus character, you have
Yeah.
solid
If
odds of
you
getting,
commit the 3 here, you're dead.
yeah.
Like,
I think with what you have up right now, you have solid odds of getting like 1 block off. But if you commit 3 here, don't think there's a world where you're blocking anything. And is like, do you think that 1 progressive difficulty is going to end up making the difference or not? Looks like he's okay with it. It's going to be going through. Whoa. Okay, we've counted to lethal.
all
Shigaraki's
right.
here
Yep.
to win. We got -1 speeded by surviving the final. Snap removed citywide to reset ourselves back to printed. And like when
Yeah.
I say snap removed, there was 0 hesitation. We
Yeah.
made the decision that we were doing that a long time ago.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. This Shiggy knows they're ending the game somehow.
I know. I think you're absolutely right, Kyle. I think Shigaraki here is just ready to finish it this turn,
Uh-huh.
because there was 0 hesitation in that play. I mean, I can understand it though, right? I mean, if we've got more big damage moves in our hand, we've got ice gliding here, which is also offensive, speed buff. We're also going to see one of the in controls come in. Remember, as these are nice defensive pieces, they're also all flipped for +2 speed as well.
Oh yeah, in control is an extremely powerful multi-purpose piece in this format. +2 or -2 speed is insanely strong.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if we're sitting on a 1.3 million or 2 right now.
Yeah, yeah. This is not gonna feel good for this Shoto player here.
Yeah, I mean, you get them to block this palm slam, right? And then they commit out, and then you just send a little bit of double 1.3 nonsense, and that's just like all she wrote.
Yep.
Yeah. He also just asked if he was in deadlock, so we might have some
Yep.
vile seizings in the hand.
Yep. That would have sucked for the Shoto player if they had made
Right? Then
that
we might not even
deadlock.
get one block off. Holy cow.
Yeah.
No, we know better than that. Don't we, Kyle? We know not to go into deadlock against Order Shigaraki 3.
You know, you say that, but I always forget Vile Seizing exists.
It's so what it is for me is it's Vile Seizing plus Grasping Tape Toss. If
Oh
I
yeah.
know both of those are in your deck, I cannot do it. I think
Yep.
that's one of the reasons why Fourth Kind. We talked about a lot about this on Kansas City this past weekend. You know, it's relevant information though. It's a very similar deck type. You know, the big order stun everything and blow you up package is
Yep.
those two cards in tandem being like such relevant deadlock pieces that can both exist in the same deck against a deck that you want a million foundations to function against is so hard. And that is something
Yep.
that Fourth Kind and Shigaraki 3 do have in common there when they're on the order symbol, of course. And yeah, this is going to be really fat 1.3. It's effectively got 1 speed because all of Shoto's checks have -1.
Yep.
Then we've flipped to give it a little more to even itself out. And how many committeds do we have? We have 8 committeds right now, 9 committeds right now. So this is going to be a 14 damage move.
Yeah, this 1.3 is gonna hurt. I would guess another one's probably coming in.
Yeah, I mean, it's currently a 5 low, technically like a 6 low if we factor in the -1 speed, unless we have a +1 block. This block is not passing.
Yep.
And I mean, thinking about it real quick, Kyle, I mean, you're the master, right? What are the +1 lows on the water symbol?
Just that Froppy card, right?
Yep, just observant student. There's really not a very played other one. And then we're gonna take the 1.3, go all the way down to 1, and then boom,
no!
There it is. The jolt comes in, and he literally asks him. "Do you have a faith shield?" And he goes, "No." Shows his hand and says, "That's gonna be the wrap right there on that game 1." Yeah, we definitely needed to keep Shigaraki off of once per game on that turn.
Yeah, yep, that definitely needed to happen, and it's very unfortunate that we didn't keep him off of it.
Yep. I don't know if that would have necessarily like put us in a great position. Things were pretty shaky either way when it came to Shoto's side of the table. You know, that was just Shigaraki is one of those characters that just makes it really, if you're playing a very like fair, honest deck and the checks are not rolling your way, he can feel like oppressively controlling, right?
Oh yeah, very
kinda what
similar
we saw.
to Mineta in that sense. Mineta definitely punishes the heck out of fair, honest decks, and Shoto is the exact same way.
Yeah, and if there's anyone who knows how punishing Mineta is against decks like that, it is my co-caster Kyle Wright.
Now, I have no idea about that. I've never sat across from a water Mineta in my life.
Yeah,
I am the danger.
Yeah. I think that Shigaraki 3 is in like such a good position in this format right now, to be honest, because
Yeah.
he was like almost there, right? Like on release, he was almost there. And then not only did he get masterminding, while we're talking about sideboards, he got another insane piece in the class reunion box, and that's Runaway, Kyle.
Yeah, yeah. Having Runaway is huge for these decks like Jiro and True Form, and I'm sure in a week, that Denki deck from last round that are running around, um, just like murdering people with these giant attacks, and having a card like Runaway is huge for a character like Shigaraki, even though he's low health and doesn't really want to take a bunch of damage. Just having that auto, just like, nope, I'm not taking 60, is super big for this character.
100%. And man, the rest of this Shigaraki 3 sideboard is so beautiful. We've got the Runaways. We got to sneak a peek at the Fourth Kind for when our deck has to get super aggressive. We were literally just talking about how those decks are so interchangeable. We also get to play Searing Glacial Storm for the wall decks and Blood Curdle for the character reliant decks. Man, the order symbol is really just poised to handle so many different deck types in this meta right now.
Order's got a ton of great tools. I love Eyes of the Tiger. This card's so cool. I'm so close to slapping 4 of it in every water deck that I play. All one of them.
Yeah, there's
Uh,
there's just so many ways to go for those decks, right? And then like between those characters, you also get to decide how you want to play it, right? If you want to play it primarily defensively and controlly, you get to play Shigaraki 3. If you want to play it very aggressively from the get-go, you get to play it as fourth kind, right? And
yep.
no matter what, they're very, very similar deck types.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ooh, oh, okay. So I love this. I love this.
Wow. Okay.
We made a little bit of the age old. And I mean, and Shigaraki 3 is a new character, but I'm going to call it an age old misplay at this point because I've seen it so many times.
Uh-huh.
That last foundation there, you do not play that last 0 on a 5 unless you have 6s in your deck because that Shigaraki -1 has not happened yet, and you cannot pass it.
Yep. Yep.
Because the -1 will come in. At best, you're checking a 4. But a lot of people just like it catches everyone off guard once.
Yep.
Once.
Well, it's
After
also
that,
yeah, it's also possible that the player just wanted the extra card out of their hand, right? Because it's first turn and they're trying to go for the aggression. Because this player did indeed open 2 copies of the new Asui Foundation, Asui's
Mhm.
Friendship, and
Well,
being able to basically stun 6 somebody
yeah.
is is gonna be really strong.
Yeah. Well, that was our 6th card in hand as a 6-hander with 6 in hand. So we were gonna be able to review it no matter what.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. All right.
But I will give you the bone there, Kyle. Bringing up Asui's Friendship here, double Asui's Friendship, no doubt. That's going to be massive. If we
Well,
can
you
open,
also never know if you just assume your opponent doesn't know what their character does.
oh, so true, so true, bestie.
Yeah.
If we can open a grasping tape toss here, we could literally commit the entire board.
Yeah.
Now, the only issue with that is opening a grasping tape toss means in control can come in and say we check very, very badly.
Also very true.
Very careful. With 5 ready foundations and an in control and a league invitation, we're pretty defensively stacked as Shigaraki right now. But with 3 cards in hand, we might be able to tax the blocks a little bit because we're not getting more than those 3 right now. Shigaraki is very committed. That also means we have 1 less -1 to our checks to deal with. So we could be very free to aggress, but I also do not hate building here at all. It's going to make our character a little weaker in the long run, but I think especially in game 2 when you're down a game, safely maneuvering ourselves into that mid game to make sure that we don't get really, really caught off guard by a quick poke turn, get the once per game into the 1.3s, and we're just not ready for it. Like you have to be ready for it. Or even as a control deck, this order Shiggy deck can blow you out of the water out of nowhere.
Absolutely. And also just building that Lost in Thought is going to be huge. I think Lost in Thought is just a crazy powerful control piece in this format, and I think having that on the board is going to be big for playing around a lot of this Shigaraki's various foundational pieces, such as League Invitation and Citywide Crisis.
League Invitation is a big one. That one does certainly just say, hey, if we only want to deal with one Asui's Friendship this turn, we only have to deal with one Asui's Friendship this turn. But that only bails us out once.
Yeah, but even then, like a lot of times, what I like to do with New Invitation is I use it on my turn specifically and hit high difficulty power and high power cards so that they get stuck in the opponent's hand on their turn. So they either have to review their really good card to keep it out of their hand to get the aggro, or they have to keep it in, thus allowing them less chance to get the aggro. And even if they do see the aggro, it's still a 3 diff, right? So it's kind of hard to build at the end of an aggressive chain.
100%. There's definitely a lot to think about there. The way that Shigaraki leverages his defensive resources throughout these next couple turns is going to really make or break if 19 health stays 19 health. Because if he really, really slips up once, doesn't and lets that attack get through, those Asui Friendships are going to come down and cause so much havoc on our stage. Another reason why I really like building a second turn here against Shigaraki 3 is if he doesn't find that jolt or that throw, which we get the knowledge of the deck list here. There are no grasping tape tosses in this Shigaraki deck. So the only damage that we get to cheat in is the jolt. meaning that if we don't find that jolt, he's going to be pressured to threaten us, to aggress into us honestly, and have to actually try and force momentum through by forcing damage through. And if we can get him to have to do that and then kind of like check bad along the way, that can put us up in a really, really, really good position to backswing.
Yep. Absolutely.
You know, Shigaraki's not a character that does nothing until he hits you, but by turn 2 or 3, he really needs to secure that momentum so that he can have that once per game online to really make sure that he can stay alive and scale his way into the late game position that he wants to be in.
Absolutely, which is why masterminding is such a huge piece for him.
Yeah, being able to cheat that momentum in without being fully reliant on drawing things like jolts is a really, really, really big deal. I think that's why you can play your Shigaraki 3 decks nowadays and get away without running tape toss.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, we put just some fantastic defensive pieces on our board. We replace our league invitation. We get a passing down, which it's really funny because passing, this is like the least relevant order deck to find passing the torch on, because your character is a 7-hand that draws so many cards.
Yep. I mean, absolutely agree. But at the same time, commit draw a card is still commit draw a card. Having that option there, especially because your opponent does indeed control whether you draw or not in the Shigaraki with the ability, right? So having just that auto is still huge for a lot of characters, even a character like this.
Right. At the end of the day, you are still just a little 19 health character, right?
Mm-hmm.
You are still that baby 19 health character. Half blocking anything whatsoever feels really, really bad. So making sure that you can draw enough cards to not play that block zone lottery, you know, that's oftentimes where I see Shigaraki's kind of falter sometimes, right? Is they build really aggressively and then pass with only like 1 or 2 in hand and just rely on passing the torch and the Shigaraki checks to draw them all the cards. And then the rival only checks a 5 when you use Shigaraki, and the one passing draw doesn't find you that block you need. And then you start taking half after half after half, and then the rival gets so ahead.
Yep. You got to find that proper balance, right? Not every character is privileged to be Mineta and just like have one card pass every turn and be totally fine with that.
Right. And also have, you know, that huge, you know, 30 plus health body, right? To survive all those half blocks. You know, when it comes to like 6-handers, right? 19 is not that different from like, you know, 26, 27, or 28 or so. Like it's not even a full 10 less. But it's the fact that like half blocking in those characters most of the time doesn't feel as bad, because as long as you don't die, it's fine. You can backswing them. But Shigaraki 3 is this late game, long scale grinder control character. You know, if you get that half damage on him and then he doesn't backswing and he just keeps trying to scale into the late game, you really feel the punishment of that coming down, as every damage you take feels relevant, because your primary objective is to survive. Your secondary objective is to close out the game, because the way your character functions just says if you survive, you'll eventually close out the game.
Absolutely, I totally agree, and it's even true for the opposite way of things. If even only a couple health less on a 7-hander, you know, maybe like 17, even 18 health, like that feels like a huge detriment when you start getting below 19.
100%. So it looks like the League Invitation is going to come in and bring down one of those Asui's friendship. Now that's really scary. He committed 2. Did he just opt to pass it instead?
It looks to be that way.
Yeah, I think he just opted to pass it instead, which is only interesting because he committed an Asui's friendship. And I would imagine that you're passing that, it's because you don't want one of your Asui's friendship to get committed.
Yeah.
Or maybe he really wants to leave making a stand-up. Or honestly, what he might just be doing is trying to prevent a mastermind from happening, right? We're just very, very scared of the mastermind coming in.
Yeah, that is probably what it is. Man, masterminding is so rude.
It's such a, you know, you can go through your whole turn not preparing for once per game Shigaraki next turn, and then the mastermind comes in and you're like, oh. Although at the same time, like we have making a stand on our board, so I really wouldn't be that afraid of a mastermind coming in.
Yeah.
Although I guess
Man,
if we fail the check and he's got the masterminding, we're gonna commit the making the stand, right?
yeah,
with the
absolutely.
yeah. So I guess it does make sense. We're hard playing around masterminding, but the real question is how hard are we playing around double tongue whip? Because that's a real tough thing to do, Kyle.
Yep, yep, yep. Double tongue whip hurts. Imagine the triple tongue whip.
Did,
Oh,
did did you not watch Kansas City, sir? I just spent an entire weekend doing nothing but commentating Tim Keefe murdering people with triple/quadruple tongue whip turns.
no, I, I heard.
It was really funny because I did like, man, including a bunch of like outside the stream stuff that I did with him. I think I did like small interview segments with Tim Keefe like 5 or 6 times throughout that weekend. And at
Mm.
some point, I was just expecting him to go, dude, I just played tongue whip. It's not a big deal. I was
Man,
like,
this
I
is
was like, Tim Keefe is gonna get fed up with me at some point and just tell me, dude, I just played tongue whips. It's
yep. Man, this is so unfortunate for this Shigaraki player being forced to block these tongue whips with their 1.3s. At the
it
same
is
time,
most
they are
definitely
indeed getting the blocks, so that's cool.
yes. Yes, it is most definitely a double-edged sword, right? If we checked poorly, we did not pass that block. That was a big nail biter moment. So, as much as it sucks that we lost two 1.3s to blocking, our rival also lost two tongue whips to attacking. So, it's
Yep.
kind of like, it's like an even exchange, right? I lost two of my best low attack, you lost two of your best low attack, and nothing happened. And we moved on with our lives.
Absolutely. Well, on the
I
plus
definitely would be
side,
sad if
the
I was Shoto,
Shigaraki
though.
player is going to draw 6 cards, and it's totally going to be the other two 1.3s, and we're just going to, watch this Shoto player die, I'm sure.
You're saying there's a chance. You're saying there's a chance. It's definitely uncommon for Shigaraki to close games out before he wants per games, but it's not impossible. Again, 1.3 is
Oh
just
yeah,
one of those attacks that, I mean, if you draw two of it, sometimes they just go kaboom.
yeah.
Especially when our
He just sees
Shoto
the
player
gas.
played two low blocks, right? We played two tongue whips. That's two low attacks, right?
Uh-huh.
How many low blocks did we really find that turn?
Yep.
Although I imagine there's no way you're not going into the turn with at least one going into this 1.3 million dot deck. But at the same time, maybe the allure of playing double tongue whip was that strong.
Uh-huh.
I definitely thought the second tongue whip was going to put damage on the board. And then, you went into the turn with that thought process because again, if you put that damage on the board, we would then have that tongue whip to lift back to our hand if we needed that low block in a pinch.
Yep.
Man, Shoto 2 is so cool.
Man, this double jolt, not gonna feel good for this Shoto.
No, most certainly. I mean, you were saying earlier, right? That's what he needs to guarantee that once per game jolt momentum. If our rival refuses
Oh,
to ever fail a check and let us mastermind it up, double jolt is what we need, and that's what we found.
yeah. I will say though, I guess they do indeed have the Shoto two diff making a stand on the board. So if they
Yes.
if they think about their sequencing correct, they can indeed keep this Shigaraki player off of that 2 momentum for their next turn setup. Uh, Assuming that a third attack doesn't come down and get them another momentum, right?
Right. Or a masterminding. We've been waiting to see some mastermind in all game, man. I'm
That
starting
is
to
fair.
think, Kyle, that Corey Nelson is not the mastermind. Could it be so?
Oh no.
Could it be so?
That is not where you want to be as Shigaraki.
No, no, no. We are either the mastermind or we're dead. There's just no in between.
Yeah, that's like not having grape soda when you play my Mineta, right?
Oh, so true. This is crazy. He's going for the high engine kick here. Really,
Okay.
really trying to put some damage on the board. Also possible that our hand is just super aggressive.
There's a lot of things that could be happening right now with the Shigaraki player.
Looks like we're going to
Um,
Shigaraki -1 on that one. Do you want to commit one to stop me from drawing a card? He says I'm down. I mean, if we discard an attack on this high engine kick, it's gonna be a freaking 8 high, right? So maybe we've just consigned ourselves to not blocking this, and we're okay to commit and prevent them from drawing.
Absolutely. You really, really don't want to have that masterminding get in there.
Yeah, we're doing some self-sacrificing action now, clearing out these nice committed foundations. And we see that, okay, yeah, I think our hand is just super aggressive here. That's something that you see a
Yeah.
lot when it comes to the Shigaraki deck sometimes is when they find that handful of attacks, you gotta just have to play them because every enhanced step that you get offers you a chance to draw a card, right?
Yeah.
So you kind of just have to start going in and hoping you can draw the foundations. Ooh, that certainly fails. That was going to be on a 9 because of the -1. Oh, and then we have the
Oh,
masterminding.
oh
Masterminding, more
no.
importantly, masterminding on a 6 checks the 5. That's crazy. That is super, super intense there. Yeah, we needed to check a 5 to secure that block, and that
Yeah,
breaker 2 would have been so huge, man.
this
That's a
Shoto player
massive
has
block
to close
failure.
out the game next turn, otherwise it is possible that this Shigaraki player just takes it from there.
It's
Just
super
because of that.
possible, especially like after the once per game comes in. Yeah, I think this is going to be Shoto's window for victory here, which he's got a real healthy board. Shigaraki's got 6 readies, but building from here might get scary with 3 cards in our pool. What?
Oh my god.
What?
Wow.
He's continuing? We actually just don't have
Yeah.
foundations.
This Shigaraki player wants to hurt him.
Oh, but we get
Oh,
requesting
no,
now because of the
no.
masterminding. This guy, I've
Oh no.
Kyle, good people at home, everyone. I've lied to you. He's the mastermind. He's the mastermind.
Yeah, he is the mastermind. Also, a gorgeous version of this card.
Yeah. It's like, okay, so
love that
the making the stand has just come in to get rid of the masterminding. So at the very least, the threat of that next turn is coming off. And we just committed our 4 resources to stop the vile seizing, make a check against a 7.
Yep.
He says, look, I'm just not blocking anything. I'll take
Yep.
2 less and you're not drawing a card. We are now on the thought process of just stop him from drawing cards.
Yep.
Sometimes it only matters if we don't die, right? Like as long as we don't die, that's all that matters. So they had a little conversation there. Shigaraki thought that vile season was for a little more damage. Forgot that we passed the check on a 7. We're definitely not used to players passing that check, right? And we're still going.
Shigaraki just going in.
I mean, yeah, we have double self-sacrifice. This is lethal. But it's also only a 3-speed move. Oh, I'm sorry, it's a 4-speed move.
Yep.
Once again, we need that +1 low in hand to stop this.
Yep.
On a 6? Did we sideboard 6s in? Doesn't have it, and that's it.
No.
Holy cow. That was crazy.
That Shigaraki hit so hard.
Sometimes, look, he said, buddy, it's game 2. If I'm gonna run hot this turn, it's the time to run hot is right now. If we thought that Shigaraki smelled blood in the water game 1, holy cow, did he smell it here? He literally went and looked at his whole hand and says, you know what? If I only check a 5 from here on out, that's gonna be all she wrote. What an insane string.
When you see orange, I mean, you play the orange.
Sometimes, even as the 7 hand size, 19 health, control-oriented character, when you find the moves, and it's just time to slam them down on the table. What a roller coaster. What an absolute roller coaster between those guys this round. Holy cow, Kyle. You know what happened, man? Shigaraki sat there and went, I could just like grind this game out and once per game and survive and do all that jazz. But I'm sitting here trying to top round 1 stream game. Nah, it's time to throw the moves. It's time to full send them.
Yeah, absolutely. It was wild. And again, the exact kind of opposite of what I was expecting. I was expecting a much slower round, and we ended up having a way faster round than round 1.
100%. So you know what? Honestly, all other speculation aside, Cory Nelson said, you know what? The sooner I close out this round, the sooner these guys get to reveal another ultra rare baby. Corey
Mhm.
Nelson with the entire community on his back, getting ready to show off another one of our new ultra rares from set 5 Undaunted Raid. And this one is I might get a little tongue tied on this one, my friends.
Ooh.
We're gonna be looking at Meteor Fafrotskis. This is very, 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 very fitting, right? Asui's got that tongue. I'm getting tongue tied pronouncing this bad boy. But by the looks of it, once we're done dealing with the name, this is a 5 diff, 5 high for 5, 1 low block, but with a whopping 2 check, 1 singular enhance on it. And Kyle, this enhance is a little familiar, isn't it?
Yep. I'm gonna have nightmares tonight. I truly am. I truly am. It says enhance, get 1 damage for each of your face down foundations. That's right. This is frog lashing.
The lashing is back, baby. For all of you people out there who always just said frog lashing should just check a 2 and it'd be okay, here it is. Not fully, right? We're obviously not getting to do anything else with this card, but at a base 5 speed with a base 5 damage, charge and range. It's got our Ochako and our Asui keywords on it, right? They've got all that stuff in mind, syncing
Also
up with
1
our
low
art.
block. Ugh.
That +1 low block is definitely what really, really, really gets me. It's not +1 mid with breaker 1, but +1 low is +1 low would have saved us against Shigaraki last turn.
Yes, it would have. Man, I'm so scared. I'm so scared.
Yep.
As you know, the frog gives me nightmares, and my nightmares just got worse with this card.
You
This
know,
card is
I
proving to be
know,
really
Keenan
strong.
Meadows knows. Yeah, this is
Oh
a
no.
terrifying, terrifying aggro piece. We're gonna be able to relive some of the chaos from the early days, and maybe even put Oswey back on the map with a little bit of a mini frog lash in here. Meteor Fafrotskis, everybody. I really hope I'm saying that right. I really, really hope I'm saying that right. But you know, we'll
I
find
hope
out.
super wrong.
I'm sure chat will save me. I'm sure they'll save me. I also got to look up what this word does, what sort even means, in addition to prepping an exciting round 3 to close out tonight with. So, lovely viewers at home, Mr. Kyle Wright and I are going to bounce out for a little bit here and hopefully get something just as